Family and friends in the morning tonight. A 20-year-old Butler University student from Bethesda died days after being shot.
It all happened after a party in Prince George's County. Our Natalie Rapino spoke to people who knew him. She's live in Upper Marlboro. Natalie?
His name is Alexander Corman, but he's known lovingly as Zan. Everyone we spoke to, both on and off camera, described Zan as just a kind, fun-loving person. He was shot on Saturday inside his car while ducking from gunfire after attending a party in a nearby neighborhood.
Now, I've covered Prince George's County recently on this channel, and Prince George's County has always had its spots. Glass Manor, Forestville, District Heights, Oxon Hill. Prince George's County has always had its spots, but collectively, it's the wealthiest black county in the country. In the 80s and the 90s, the people who were fleeing the violence from Rayful Edmonds, Wayne Perry era, D.C., fled to Prince George's County and started a black enclave. Now, it's always had its spots, okay? Its trouble spot, Landover, Kentland, okay? It's always had its spots. Bright Seat Road. I'm not saying that it's totally. So people who are from Prince George's County will know Glen Arden, Palmer Park. It's always had its spots. Okay? But collectively, it's a beacon of hope. When people say, talk about the community, the Sun Belt, Blackistan. You used to be able to point to PG. Now you have a second wave of people fleeing DC. Now you have the ones getting pushed out because of gentrification. So this is a different crop. So the first crop was the ones that left, could afford to leave and left willingly to try to, give their kids somewhat of a better life. And they created, a place that was pretty violent. Now you have the ones that are poor just leaving because they ain't got nowhere else to go. So they're adding to it, and it's become a very, very violent place. Murders have tripled this year. Tripled. In the wealthiest Sun Belt county in the country. What was this kid doing out there? I'm very interested in finding out what he was doing out there and what made him think he wasn't in danger.
Family and friends in the morning tonight. A 20-year-old Butler University student from Bethesda died days after being shot.
It all happened after a party in Prince George's County. Our Natalie Rapino spoke to people who knew him. She's live in Upper Marlboro. Natalie?
His name is Alexander Corman, but he's known lovingly as Zan. Everyone we spoke to, both on and off camera, described Zan as just a kind, fun-loving person. He was shot on Saturday inside his car while ducking from gunfire after attending a party in a nearby neighborhood.
I'm not a huge religious person, but for the first time in a while, I prayed. And I wanted, to see my brother again.
Noel Barron was Zane's roommate freshman year at Butler University in Indiana. He was shocked when he heard the 20-year-old was shot Saturday.
Initially just shock and disbelief, like there's no way. It was obviously sadness, anger, this isn't fair.
Prince George's County Police say Zan and one other person who has non-life-threatening injuries were both shot here on Hollow Tree Lane Saturday.
Now you see, this area, Upper Marlboro, this area of PG. It even gets crazy down there sometimes. Like something about some people, no matter where you put them, the culture will permeate and overtake whatever's around. And it's the darndest thing, man. It's the darndest thing. I mean, I've been around a lot of Prince George's County, and my parents actually live in Prince George's County. And they were one of the groups that in the 90s fled DC. So I've been around Prince George's County a bit. And even in the spots that aren't the spots that I named earlier, it can get crazy. And it's the randomness of the violence. It's kind of like, let me, like, for instance, in other communities, in Latino communities, the Latino gangsters, they're gangsters, and most of the other people are squares. Most of the other men, working guys, you see them with their trucks, they're doing drywall, they're doing plumbing, they're doing, carpentry, whatever. They're selling fruit, whatever. Italian community, the same thing. In Blackistan, almost every man is potentially a gangster in the moment you have a conflict with them. They resort to gangster activity. And one of those gangster activities is just shooting willy-nilly. Okay? Like, ah. And if you agree with what I just said, hit 1 in the comment section. I want to know what people think. Like, most races, most groups, the gangsters are the gangsters and the other guys aren't the gangsters. In the Sun Belt, like, anybody can be a gangster in that moment. Like, it's strange, man.
Prince George's County Police say Zan and one other person who has non-life-threatening injuries were both shot here on Hollow Tree Lane Saturday. Zan's parents say he was caught in the crossfire, sitting in his car when he was hit in the face. He died Thursday as a result of his injuries.
His spirit was infectious. He was just a great guy. You never saw him down. He was always talking to someone or, saying hi to people.
Zan was a rising junior, expected to head back to school next week and pursue a career in creative media.
He was one of the most talented photographers I've ever met.
He worked for the school newspaper and took pictures for the school basketball team, already making a name for himself with his photography Instagram account.
And you can tell from the hair don't lie. This kid is some kind of biracial, some kind of, mixed. Maybe the dad was mixed and the mom is white or something like that, but he's some kind of mix. It looks like the dad might have been, already had a lot of European admixture, and the mom would have, of course, all European admixture. But you can still see that little bit of lineage. I would consider this guy white, but a lot of people would, they hold on, they hold on tight, like a lot of, like you ever hold a baby, and then you like holding the baby, and you just let your arm drop, that baby gonna grab you like this. That's how, Blackistanians hold on to these quad 1/16 rooms. So, and a lot of people will call him black, and I'm not going to fight you for it. They call him a sun person, and I'm not going to fight you over it. I just wouldn't. If you would, that's fine. We agree to disagree. Cool. But it's sad to see any young man, especially a guy like this, just doing everything right and just went to a party in that neighborhood. And now I see why he thought he was safe. Because he's from Bethesda. Bethesda is in Montgomery County. Now, Montgomery County is getting very sketchy as well. Very sketchy. However, Bethesda is an area where historically nothing happens. Nada, zip, zilch, nothing. Now, it's getting a little sketchy out there. But this guy's life, he's 20. He went to college a few years ago. He wouldn't have, for the Bethesda he left would have been a great, nice town, working class people who work in DC and live out there. Tall buildings, mall, like just a lot of shops, a lot of residential. It's a nice town, a lot of different groups, with some people being a very small minority. Very, very small minority out there. However, they're coming out there now. But look, no one in their right mind would think that they couldn't go to a party here. I mean, you just think, man, wow, that's cool, we're going to a party there. Then you show up and it's like, oh, it's a bunch of brothers there. And it's like, yeah, and they look the part. Just because they live out there don't mean they don't look the part. And they don't act the part. That's what I was talking about the culture. They live out here. Parents, great jobs. They don't want for anything. They still behave very similar. Not all the way like, some kids from Southeast or Uptown or, Northeast, Southwest, wherever you want to call it. But they act the part as much as they can. And because of that, a kid like that can be killed in a place like this over something that probably had nothing to do with him.
Zan was a rising junior, expected to head back to school next week and pursue a career in creative media.
He was one of the most talented photographers I've ever met.
He worked for the school newspaper and took pictures for the school basketball team, already making a name for himself with his photography Instagram account.
He knew that his career was riding on him being clear-headed and staying out of trouble. So he always had his priorities straight, so he would never get mixed up in a crowd like that.
Zan's mother wrote on Facebook Thursday, "It is with a very broken heart that we tell you we said our final goodbyes to Zan this afternoon. He fought as long as he could, and the medical team tried every possible intervention. Zan was our one and only. We loved him every day of his life. We'll miss him every day of ours."
You can tell he comes from a good family. They thanked the medical team. They said everything was tried. They're not complaining and whining. They know that a gangbanger shows up in the hospital with a rap sheet longer than Shaq feet and 1 million tattoos and a warrant for his arrest, because the only reason he's not in jail is because he's about to bleed to death on an operating table. And that guy gets the best surgeons and the best care and the best treatments and the best interventions. Okay? I already did a video on it. The best surgeons are in these cities, where these places where there's the Sun Belt, because the best surgeons, you can get a lot of practice in places like this. Those inner cities and like this, these suburbs of these inner cities where there's a lot of gun violence, the best surgeons go there to cut their teeth. The best surgeons go there because a lot of times those are the best hospitals, the best operating rooms. So we know this kid, he probably went, I would say, I don't know what hospital he went to. They closed down Prince George's County Hospital. They opened up a new one out there in Largo. I'm sure there's a hospital somewhere, but I can't think of right offhand where he might have gone from Upper Marlboro. But I know the doctors tried everything they could, like they do with every patient, regardless of background, regardless of race. And I'm glad the parents thanked the doctors. And it shows what type of family he came from. They're not whining, not complaining. I told them, man, you ain't fighting with the doctors and trying to cuss the very gracious, very humble family. So I'm pretty sure that this guy was a good kid. And it pains me even more that was killed like this.
She added that they donated Zan's organs to save other lives, as were his wishes. Those who knew him say Zan will never be forgotten.
I also realized, he's leaving behind a legacy. At 20 years old, he's leaving behind a legacy everyone can look up to, what hard work can do in just a few years. So, people will remember his pictures and who he was.
Now, it's unclear what led up to the gunfire that night. Police are asking anyone with any information to please give them a call. They're offering a $25,000 cash reward for any info that leads.
Even out here, you can't get them some people to talk. You can't get them to talk, man. And it begs the question, is all these things they're blaming it on: poverty, lack of opportunity, environmental racism, guns. At some point, you gotta look in the mirror, man. And be like, is it us? Could it be, dare I say,